The middle's not the middle. And that is craziness.
Gosh, I'm so worried.
Just don't tell them and they'll never know.
I'm not wearing sweatpants. Oh, wait. So that was the opposite of what I was supposed to do.
That's like the Phineas and Ferb I was watching earlier, where Perry was going to pretend to be an evil scientist named Dr. Lloyd Wexler.
Uh-huh.
Because, Perry ain't blue or nothing. So he goes to this convention, and they said, they was checking in, and he hands them the ID of the guy, and it put, at the bottom, it said, "Note, not a platypus."
Legit.
So whatever.
It's totally believable.
It totally was. They totally believed it. So whatever.
It was believable. It was believable.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to our McWorld.
Yeah.
I'm Mallory.
I'm Courtney.
More books on the rocks.
Books on the rocks, son.
Still no rocks.
No rocks today. Today we are going to try this apple ginger hard cider by Incognito, or it's Incognito hard cider. It's by Bluestone Vineyards, which is in, I want to say Michigan or somewhere. There's this cool travel blogger that we follow named Dangerous Business. Look her up because she's awesome. And last year she was doing some little semi-local trips to her with her husband, and they had gone to this winery, and she posted about it on her Instagram, and I thought, I'm going to look it up, because something she had posted made me think, ooh, fall wine. And so since it's fall, anyway, I ordered some on the internet, and they shipped it to me. So we're going to try this now. I've had it for a long time.
So today, this Books on the Rocks episode is kind of a part 2 almost to another episode we had.
Yeah.
Because today we're going to be talking about The Betrayed by Keira Cass. We already did an episode on The Betrothed, which was the first book in the series. So if you haven't seen that one, go watch it first. And then come back and watch this one.
Yeah.
So we're going to have our fall wine.
Yes.
And talk about this book.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's very appley.
It is. I don't get a whole lot of ginger from it.
I thought it'd be more gingery than it is.
Me too. Is this like on every episode of every Food Network show when they say, it's ginger whatever, and the judges never taste the ginger?
Yeah.
There is never enough ginger. I would just give them a clump of ginger, like from the sushi place.
Just put all the ginger you have.
I would. And I would say, here you go. And they would say, I taste the ginger.
I do, in fact, taste it for once.
It's fizzy. Of course, it's more of a hard cider, I guess. So, but yeah, very
it's
good.
Pretty good though.
Definitely
like
fall. Definitely good for fall.
It's definitely a good fall drink.
So, we'll put that there for now. Okay.
Time to talk about the book. So, overall, so I guess at the beginning of all of our Books on the Rocks, we kind of say, give a little bit of a rundown and then say what we thought about it, and then before we dive into it, really, with our spoilers. But yeah. So this one obviously is a sequel to The Betrothed. So I guess if you're watching this, you've read the first book. So you should know what happened in the first book. So in the first book, essentially, it revolves around a girl named Hollis who is trying to win the hand of the king, Jameson. And she meets this guy named Silas, whose family has just moved into their kingdom from a neighboring kingdom. And they fall madly in love immediately and decide to run away together and get married. But on their wedding day, all of these, like, I forget what they're called.
I think they're called, like, I want to say they're actually called the Dark Knights or the Darkest Nights or something.
Something. They come in and kill everybody, pretty much, except for Hollis and Silas's mama and sister.
Yeah.
They literally kill Silas and everyone else. Like
Yes.
Hollis's family, her parents,
Everyone.
the rest of Silas's family, everybody that was at the wedding.
Yeah.
And then Hollis decides that they're going to go back to where his family's from. And so she decides to go with his mom and sister, and they're going to go try to figure out, like, who's behind this. Because they think it's King Quentin, who is the king of, I don't even remember the places. What are the, Salty?
Yeah.
I think, is where Silas and them were from.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the name of that. I could remember Keira, but not a Salty.
Yeah, so that's where they headed off to at the end of the first book. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
I think in the first one.
Go back and watch the other one for more detail.
Yeah. So this one picks up where they are going back and they go back to stay with Silas's rest of his family.
Yes.
And they, I guess, basically they're trying to figure out who was behind what happened.
Yeah.
They're trying to prove that it was Quentin, I guess. And
really kind of digging into, they kind of think, this is established early on in the book, so it's not a major spoiler, but, really in the last book, Hollis was thinking that, Quentin was evil, so to speak, and mean to Valentina, his queen, and, all those sorts of things. So they're also kind of trying to establish early on that that's sort of really true, and that Quentin is really a detriment to the country. And then, it gets more involved, but it's pretty much a lot of plotting and planning of various things, which we'll dive into.
Yeah, of really trying to, I guess, eventually their main goal is to kind of take over.
At least remove Quentin from
him
power.
from the throne, put somebody else on the throne.
Yeah. So overall, we'll just give the overall because we're quickly having to dive into this, evidently. The problem with these books is, now I will tell this for both books, I've felt this way. First of all, let me say, The Betrayed, in my opinion, was much better than The Betrothed.
Yes, I enjoyed the second one a lot more than the first one.
Yes. But I do feel like both books spent a lot of time doing very little, and then spent a very little time doing a lot.
Yes, they did.
Both of them did that way,
yeah.
which is very strange because you would think that she would have gotten a lot of reviews from the first book that said everything happened in the last 5 minutes, so to speak.
Fast.
Yeah. Again, this book was really, really good, and I love Keira Cass's books. The Selection series is probably one of my all-time favorite book series of all,
Yeah.
So, The Betrothed was a little disappointing, but I'm glad I stuck with it because this one was much better.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's going to be another one, but I'm assuming.
I figure there's at least one more.
Yeah.
Got to be, based on the way it ended.
Yeah.
I would think. But I do think it was better. It still could have been better, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Better than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, this one I would give. I don't know what score I would give the last one.
But I don't know what we're ranking them out of.
I don't think we've ranked any of them at all. But this one is slightly higher.
Yeah.
If the Selection is an A+, then this one gets a B+.
Yeah.
The second one. The first one gets a B.
Yeah. Maybe a B-.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, overall, we would recommend this.
Yeah.
You have to read the first one before you read this one, or you'll be totally
It will
lost.
not make any sense at all if you don't read the first one.
It might make some sense. You probably can catch on enough. They do a little bit of summary, but still, you're gonna miss so much. You're not gonna know anybody that's not there all the time
who anybody is, or
like Jameson and everybody in Corolla and all that stuff. So just read the first one and then read this one, and it's better.
Yeah.
Just know it gets better.
It does get better. So
now I guess we'll dive in.
So now, from here on out, we're going to talk about the specifics of the book.
Yes.
So here's, well, I don't know. I don't know if we want to start with this or not. So in our first video, we were talking about this series. We were talking about who was going to be her new love interest, because obviously, or it seems obvious, even though I wasn't 100% convinced, that Silas is gone. So there's got to be a new love interest, because just because it's like a young adult type of novel, and there's always a love interest.
Yeah.
So we were there, making guesses, and we did guess correctly on who the love interest would be.
Pretty obvious if you're familiar with the enemies to lovers trope.
Yeah, because even in the first one, you kind of, even though there's not really anything romantic that happens, if you had to guess, who will, where is this going to go? It's not that hard to guess, especially once you start reading this one.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about, Hollis, they go back to move in with Silas's family. So if you remember from the first one, his cousin, what's his name? Eaton. I keep wanting to call him Easton. I don't know why.
Their last name is Eastoff.
Yeah.
Silas and them.
Getting confused.
Eaton's last name is Northcott.
Yeah. So
I keep waiting for the West and the East to show up.
Yeah, right? So Eaton,
The West and the South.
Family, and he hasn't liked Hollis from the beginning. Ever since they met, he's been kind of a jerk to her.
Yeah.
And he continues to be a jerk, even more of a jerk to her in this one.
He does. He's very mistrustful of her because she was almost betrothed to King Jameson, who, even though she thinks that Jameson is a halfway decent dude, no one in Assaulty thinks that, evidently. Especially not, I guess the Eastoff sort of did, but Eaton doesn't think that. And the Northcotts don't really think that. And, of course, they don't like Quentin either, but they don't like Jameson.
Yeah, they don't trust either one of them.
Yeah.
So he really has a hard time with her. And, I will say, I felt really bad for her in the scene where she was in the kitchen and everybody was being so mean to her. Nobody, which pretty much when she showed up at their house, Eaton's mama and dad were being really nice to her, but nobody else was. None of the staff.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody. And there was one scene in the kitchen where they were just being really mean to her, and she kind of leaves, and she goes to cry for a minute, and then she decides to collect herself and go back. Mm-hmm. And I felt so sorry for her. Yeah. Because I'm it's not, I guess because we obviously know she's not up to anything nefarious.
Yeah.
They suspect she is. But I just felt really bad for her. But it's not very hard to imagine that the two of them, who really don't like each other, are eventually going to fall for each other.
Obs.
It was not a shocking moment. Now, I will say, it did happen sooner than I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't think, because you could tell that whenever they went to the castle and they had to stay together the whole time.
Right.
But I didn't expect them to kiss as soon as they did. I felt like it happened really, it was going slow, a nice slow progression, and then all of a sudden it was they kissed, they're madly in love.
Yeah.
So I did make a note that Hollis falls in love too easily.
Yeah.
Because it's we don't know nothing. Bam! I'm madly in love. Same thing that happened with Silas.
Yeah.
It just seemed all of a sudden both of them are just, and I felt like it should have been a little bit slower
Yeah.
to happen like that.
I do think that this one at least gave more of a build-up, even though it still went pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The first book, you just really didn't think. I mean, like you could kind of see sort of that they were gonna end up together, but you didn't really get that impression from the writing. Like you know, when she and Silas fell in love, it was kind of like they had to tell you.
We looked into each other's eyes and just knew.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a relationship before.
No, and there wasn't all of this, like, at least she and Eaton have, like, that chemistry of, like...
Yeah, they're back and forth kind of for a good portion of the book.
Yeah.
But I wish that it had been a little bit longer, and also I wish that they hadn't have been so madly in love.
Yeah, you hate that.
I hate that. I wanted it to be more like by the end of the book, they kiss and realize they really do like each other.
Yeah.
But not that I can't live without you already.
Right.
Like, I thought they would fall more in love in, like, maybe the last book or something. Yeah. So it happened a little fast for my taste, but I did enjoy their romance a lot more than her and Silas's, because I didn't feel like her and Silas's really even had much of a story.
No,
at all.
I mean, honestly, I felt like you really couldn't even, like I said, you really couldn't even tell. Like, you didn't get the impression that she really loved Jameson, obviously, because she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you didn't get this sense that she and Silas, you couldn't just tell from reading it that they were madly in love, other than the fact that they just out and out told you they were.
These two characters, you could at least tell by some of the things they said or did. Like, when they started sort of changing their attitude, that it was coming.
Right.
So, yeah, I did enjoy their romance a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
In this one.
Yeah.
But I still think she falls in love way too quick.
Yeah, that's probably true.
For me.
Yeah. So, then, the other big storyline apart from the romance is... So, as we were talking about, they're trying to overthrow King Quentin, but additionally, they have decided to try to install Eaton as the new king because he is a descendant of the original founder of Isolde or whatever. So, they're trying to rally support behind Eaton, in addition to gathering the intel that they can use to bring down King Quentin. Because they want to do it legally, so that because he has a son named Hadrian that's sickly, but they're trying to get him married, and so the Northcotts think that that's so that he can have a son quickly, and then they can basically secure the line of succession. So they want to take him down legally so that nobody can argue with him.
Yeah, so they're not trying to, like, overthrow him or like, just go in and kill him like this ain't Game of Thrones, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it'll be easier to keep it, and the people won't
revolt
like against
they are.
him. Yeah.
Basically.
But this is the moment. So I felt like it went relatively slow, and they got to the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a little bit, and then it's like they decided, okay, Eaton's going to be... This is when it started speeding up, because like most of the book was like...
Go into the castle and like... Because mostly Hollis wasn't super involved in rallying support. And we mostly see what she sees. And so, they would come together in the rooms at the end of the night, because they'd all gone to the castle for Prince Hadrian's wedding.
Yeah.
Because they're, bigwigs in Isolde.
Mm-hmm.
But since she wasn't there, we didn't see all that, so it was a lot of talk.
Yeah, it was mostly talking about stuff, and like, sort of kind of building up towards something. But once they decided it's time to do it, it was like... It's time to do it. Done, 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 done. All the stuff happens like immediately. And I'm like, whoa. So one of the notes I had was I felt like Quentin and his guards gave up way too easily.
Oh, so easy.
Like they just went in and were like, because Eaton had gone, they were like, go get an army.
Yeah.
And first of all, he went and got an army in like 2 hours somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
He wasn't gone for that long.
Yeah.
But it's like he comes back and Quentin's like, all right. And his guards don't even try to fight anybody. They just all give up immediately. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't even fight. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like a last minute honorable move on Quentin's part or something, or if all of them are just really like, okay, we're for the new guy now.
Yeah, but and all the people just immediately were like, yay, a new king.
Yeah.
It just was like very weird, I guess, the way that Quentin was made out to be like this really terrible person.
Yeah.
Who was really selfish, and he just like,
and really conniving.
yeah, and to just give up just like that was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that part. And so I also thought the part, okay, so after Eaton has secured whatever, they decide, like, Jameson's been trying to get Hollis to come back. Because apparently Delia Grace ain't doing it for him or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know. So she's going to go back and try to, like,
Well, so she gonna go back because conniving Quentin has told her he didn't have Silas and them killed.
yeah.
He may have had all these other people throughout the country killed, but not Silas
Yeah.
and them.
He
That was Jameson.
Not responsible. So, which we kind of wondered about
Yeah.
before, if it was really Jameson who was behind all of that.
But see, in the first book, you really don't ever get too much of the impression that Jameson is that slick.
Yeah, because he does things like, when he promises their kid, and he's
Yeah.
like, it's my kid.
Right.
So he does jerk things, but he doesn't do evil things like
It's like a rich frat guy moves.
Not like-
That's how I picture Jameson.
Quentin. Like, Quentin really seems like he does.
Yeah.
Like, he's had his wives murdered.
Right.
before.
Yeah.
So it's weird that Jameson ends up being like this person who would have all of these random, not even just Silas. Like, if he had just had Silas killed, that'd be one thing.
Yeah.
But he literally murdered, all these people murdered, including all these little kids.
Right. And the only
Just seemed
reason
weird.
that Scarlet lived, she says, because Scarlet occasionally starts getting her memories back of that day.
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, Hollis and the mama had run out the back door and hid. And so the only reason they left Scarlet is because they thought she was Hollis. Now, how they didn't know.
Yeah, because they both have blonde hair.
Right.
Although, I
What is
spent
this,
the whole
Cinderella?
first book thinking Scarlet was like 12.
Yeah.
And then in the second book, I started to get the impression that maybe she was actually closer to Hollis's age.
Yeah. It's sort of unclear.
I'm not really too sure, but I'm now assuming they're closer in age than I initially thought.
Yeah. So after Eaton takes the throne, he and Hollis are madly in love. They're going to get married, I think, and all this. But then she decides she needs to go back to Keira to confront Jameson.
Yeah. Well, she gets back, and he's like, oh, we're legally married,
Yeah.
Jameson says to her, because she had signed some contract or something.
Her parents had.
Yeah. And that apparently was legally binding for some
In
reason
Keira.
in that country. So now they're
Out of
technically
nowhere.
married.
Yeah.
So here comes the dumbest, in my opinion, the dumbest thing that happened in the whole book.
Keep in mind, this all happened in the last quarter of the book, I bet you money.
Yeah, like all this was at the very end. And
Yeah.
like she literally got back, was talking to Jameson. All this happened in like one chapter, I feel like. So she goes in, he's having this thing. And then she confronts him, and I guess he admits to being behind it.
Yeah, because he don't give a rat's anymore because he's got her back and he knows he's got this contract on her.
So now she's got to stay with him and be whatever. And so you think maybe there'll be some sort of fight.
Yeah.
Something to happen. But instead, the idiot somehow gets his sword out and drops it and falls on it and dies.
Why not?
Like, it was just so,
It was just out of freaking left field. I mean, we got like all of this mess happening everywhere because I mean, like we said, all of this stuff is happening out of nowhere, first of all, because now Jameson is this, like, evildoer that's having everybody murdered. Now he's dead. And, of course, now, since he's dead and he's made this big stink about being married to what's-her-face, now she's the damn queen of the country.
Yeah, so now all the people have decided, they're like, well, guess you're the queen now, so you're in charge of Keira. So now she's like, well, bummed because she was going to go marry Easton, but now they're... Who cares? But now they're rulers of these two countries that don't like each other.
Yep. Just out of nowhere.
Just right there at the end, they're both somehow rulers immediately.
Yeah.
With like hardly any scuffles at all.
No dust-ups to be had.
So, inevitably, at the end, they decide, well, why can't we unite the countries, basically, I think is their plan.
Which is what I thought from the jump, because really, when she got to be the queen, then they spend all these miserable months apart from each other, ruling their countries, because for whatever reason, immediately she's like, well, I have to do right by Keira. And I have to do right by my people, which is honorable, but by the same token, if you're so madly in love with what's-his-face, why don't you immediately be like, hey, yo, why don't we merge up?
Yeah, I mean, why can't we...
It takes them way too long to figure out that they should merge the countries together.
Yeah. So I guess, really, that's pretty much how it ends.
Yeah.
Is they're planning to do this. They're coming up with this plan. So I don't know if the final book's going to be about trying to convince the people to merge countries or what.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, they kind of already seemed on board a little bit because they really liked her.
Yeah.
Because I think they visited. But, like, also, here's what else was janky a little bit. Was that we didn't mention this part, they both got suitors.
Oh, yeah.
And
they both ended up with,
that they didn't care about, basically.
People that they sure were possibly going to marry just to have a significant other, because...
Yeah.
Which was dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a little, bit at the end where they were being miserable and they were having these people that, and then they met back
and the
up
people fell in love with each other.
Yeah.
We forgot that part. It sounded worse than it was. It wasn't that bad. It's just that everything happened in 5 minutes.
It's when everything happened so quick right at the end, and then, I mean, Jameson falling on his sword was the dumbest thing ever. Okay, that was dumb. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought the story worked better than the first one.
Yeah.
Even though it was a whole lot happening right there at the end.
Yeah. So hopefully if there's another one, which we assume there will be, they'll slow the pace a little bit. Because I'm assuming in the next one, listen, do not kill Eaton. This is it, okay? We can't just be jumping from man to man every other book. That'd get annoying.
Yeah, I know.
They better just end up together, plan the wedding, merge the countries. I don't know what the stink will be, but
yeah,
solve the stink.
We'll see. My only other note that we hadn't really talked about, which, well, I guess we sort of kind of did, was about Jameson, about them. If he knew that they were married this whole time, why didn't he come for her sooner?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense why he wouldn't come for her sooner instead. I mean, and why did he have to kill everybody if he couldn't he have just forced her to come back?
Yeah.
Because they're married.
Yeah, unless that whole thing was a scam.
That was the only other thing I had written that we hadn't really.
Yeah, because he had that whole contract from her parents, and I don't remember if maybe he made a to-do about he wanted her to want to be there.
Yeah, but
maybe, which she didn't, but she went back, to confront him.
I feel like he had such a conflicting personality of saying, I wanted you to choose me, but also this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have everybody murdered.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird. I feel like some of the characters are just like...
Unless he had some kind of a long game where he was going to simultaneously try to win her back, because I think he really probably thought two things would happen when he had all them people murdered. She would come back to him, which didn't happen, but also that they would blame King Quentin, and maybe that would provide a basis for Isolde to go to, or Keira to go to war with Isolde.
Yeah, to try to
Maybe
take her
that
on.
was his game, and none of that
No.
panned out at all.
I feel like there's still details missing,
Yeah,
and certain things, like if the book had been a little bit longer,
yeah,
that we could have got more in on. I don't know. But overall, I did. I read this one a lot quicker. It took me a long time to get into the first one.
yeah,
This one I got into quicker, and I finished it a lot faster.
yeah.
So I am in it for the third one. Obviously, I'm assuming it's just a trilogy, but I don't really know at this point.
Yeah, we'll see.
But based on the ending, I would assume there's more to try
Yeah.
to figure out. Do they succeed in merging the countries?
Yeah,
And I'll read it.
yep,
And then maybe we'll put in another video.
sure.
We should, since we've done
Yeah.
the other one, the other two.
So let us know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe for more things like this and more things not like this.
Yep. We got some more books on the rocks. We have two other, besides the Trove that have come out so far, books on the rocks, where we talk about body movers and a book called Wild Ride.
Yeah,
So if either one of those sound interesting,
yeah.
go for
We've
it.
got some coming up. We're probably going to talk about Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade and Caraval by Stephanie Garber.
That's it, yeah. I love that series. So
So
look
stay
for
tuned.
those coming up in future books on the rocks. And we may do another body mover because that series is over now.
Yeah,
So we can talk about the ending because we talked about up to the final book, but we haven't talked about the final book.
yes.
So that may be coming as well.
Yeah,
And then all of our other content where we talk about movies and TV shows and random other things, parties and Christmas and
if you have any really awesome books, drop us a comment and tell us the name of the book and why you love it the best.
yeah.
And then we'll check those out too.
Yeah. Maybe we'll read those. And
We read all kinds of books, but we really like funny romance books, chick lit. We do read we read all kinds. We read thrillers. We read like supernatural type books, like the Night Hunter series, which those are also Harlequin romances, basically. But
yeah.
but we read all kind of stuff. So drop us a line.
Yep. Give us some good ideas.
Yeah, you never know. We may pick it.
Yep.
So.
Until next time, cheers to more fall wine.
Cheers to more fall wine. The more of it I drink, the more of the ginger I get.
Yeah.
It's like I can feel that little in the back of my palate.
Yeah, it's not like as strong as ginger beer, but it has a similar
Yeah,
feel
mouthfeel.
in your mouth.
Yeah. So, also check out Bluestone. It's BLUStonevineyards.com. Get you some of this incognito hard cider. They'll ship it to your house. I know, because they shipped it to my house.
Thanks.
Sure. And we're going to keep drinking more of it. Now it's all fizzy because I poured it crazy, but...
Yep. So now we're going to keep drinking wine.
And not talking about books. Or we might, who knows?
Maybe we will.
Don't drink it until the bubbles go away. They'll fly into your throat and try to kill you like powdered sugar.